Hello YouTube, my name is Spencer. I'm going to give you a video that's going to be about the best diet advice I can pretty much give anyone ever, and probably the best advice that anyone could give anyone ever. It's going to be somewhat generalized, but very, very effective. The reason I'm doing this video, a couple months ago, I basically promised myself that I was going to start a YouTube channel, not really for profit or anything, just to kind of get information out there, get some ideas out there, hopefully that haven't been put out there before. And there's a lot of information about diets that just isn't effective or people think is effective even though they don't get results from it. So as a personal trainer, a lot of times I get people asking me for free advice, which is fine. But the problem is they dismiss me so quickly when I give them the advice because it's not what they want to hear. It's not fun. It's not something simple that they can do. It's more critical thinking, more about learning about themselves and being smart and actually putting some effort in. And the minute you tell people to do anything that requires effort, you're pretty much going to get dismissed, sadly. I just had an email recently. A person sends me an email saying that they aren't losing weight, they're working out as hard as they can, but due to injuries, they're getting more injured because of previous injuries, and their diet's not having them lose any weight. So I sent back a message, telling them that we need to work on the diet, and the first response was, "I'm already dieting. Don't worry about it. Screw you, buddy. Whatever." So I'm doing this video kind of not as a reaction to that email, but sort of just to kind of get some ideas out there. So about me, I'm not naturally skinny. I'm not naturally muscular. I'm someone who had to work for it. When I was in my 20s, my early 20s, I guarantee you people, when they saw me with my shirt off, they felt bad for me. I was real skinny and still fat at the same time. My genetics just aren't good. Uh, I was the type of person who I had a little belly and a little bit of belly fat and just nothing in my shoulders, just string bean. So it took me a long time to figure out how to bulk first. That was the first step. And then once I went out bulk, what I couldn't figure out how to do is how to maintain that size after I had lost weight. So I'd get kind of big, but I'd be fat. And the minute I'd try to lean out at all, I'd pretty much lose everything I gained and then some. And so it was just kind of like a weird purgatory where it's just failure after failure. And it took me quite a while to kind of figure out some things. And the things I figured out are very effective. And they're nothing complicated. It's just really about being smart and kind of staying away from a lot of the craziness that's out there. Uh, so step one is just to establish where you're at. You really have to just look at what you're doing. Um, as a general rule, you tell people take a week or two, just like jot down everything you eat. Doesn't matter. Don't feel guilty about it. Just jot down. That way you can at least look at what you're doing, and you can assess like, okay, am I eating too many calories? Am I not eating enough calories? The important thing on that is to be pretty precise about it. The more information, the better. So if you can write down every single thing you eat, great. If you can write down how you feel after meals, that's even better. So you can kind of get an idea. Let's say you eat a high carb meal and you feel tired, then you eat a high fat meal and you feel great. Maybe that means that you have a little bit of carb sensitivity. Maybe carbs aren't for you, or that's something you need to look at. And so that's step one. Is just kind of establish where you're at. So don't try to change anything right off the bat. Take a week or two, see where you're at, so that way you can see how far you need to adjust or what you need to adjust. As far as diet goes, assessing your diet, it's very important that you understand like that there's certain numbers you should be hitting pretty easily. If you're not hitting those numbers, something needs to change. Plain and simple. So for someone that's trying to lose weight, you should be losing at least a pound a week, and that's assuming no exercise. If you're sitting on the couch, completely sedentary, there's absolutely no reason that you shouldn't be losing at least a pound a week. If you're not, your diet needs to change. How it needs to change is questionable. Do you need to cut out calories? Maybe, maybe not. Do you need to lower the fat content and up the carbs? So on and so forth. But if you're not losing at least a pound a week, you need to change something if you want to get effective weight loss. Part two to that, as I said, that's a pound a week without exercise. With exercise, you should be losing about 2 pounds a week, give or take. And this varies. A smaller person maybe a little less, bigger person maybe a little more. As you get down to low body fat percentages like 5-6% body fat, you may notice it slows down a little bit or you need to do more exercise to lose weight. But it's very important to understand, especially someone who's just starting off dieting, not to depend on cardio for weight loss. And that's what 90% of people try to do, is they say, okay, well, I'm going to eat the same food, I'm just going to go on the elliptical 3 times a week and I'm going to lose weight. And it doesn't work that way. If you really think about it, go to any marathon circuit. I've run a number of marathons in my life, and you'll see just a bunch of skinny people there because they're marathon runners. They run, 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 and all it does is even though these people usually are eating for performance, they're eating high carb diets, they're not trying to lose weight. They lose a lot of muscle just because the body naturally adapts to running, which is the goal for long distance running. They want to adapt to running, so obviously they don't want to have a bunch of muscle mass because that's going to slow you down. So if you're depending on cardio to lose weight, you're also going to lose a lot of muscle in the process. That's whether you're a 250-pound bodybuilder or a 130-pound, office worker who's just trying to lose a couple pounds. If you're depending on cardio to lose weight, odds are you're going to lose as much fat muscle as you do fat, because your body's going to adapt to cardio, which means it's going to start cutting down muscle tissue. And as most people probably already know, the more muscle tissue you have, the more calories you burn naturally. Plus, it shapes the body better. So if you lose a lot of body fat and you lose muscle at the same time, you're not going to ever have a V-tape or that kind of aesthetic look. All it's going to happen is you're going to wind up being skinny fat, which is going to still look blocky. So it's very, very important that you don't depend on cardio or depend on weight training to lose weight. That being said, I do recommend weight training more than cardio just because it can sustain body mass or help you gain. This is a big debate for some odd reason, is whether or not you can gain muscle and lose fat at the same time. Look at any of a million 12-week challenges that have been put out there in the last 10, 15 years. Everything from Body for Life to the ones that they do on bodybuilding.com, and you see literally thousands of participants per contest who lose fat and gain muscle at the same time. In a 12-week period, you see literally thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people go from either skinny and kind of like soft, or obese but not very much muscle, to being muscular and lean. So if it's not possible to gain muscle, lose fat at the same time, how are there thousands upon thousands upon thousands of examples of people doing just that? Of course you can lose fat and gain muscle at the same time. The question really is, once you get to a point where you get to kind of reach what's called your genetic potential, which is more of a theory than actual fact. But okay, so if you're 250 pounds and muscular and at 6% body fat, and you want to get down to 4% body fat, yeah, odds are you're not going to gain muscle and lose fat at the same time, because at that point you're going to have to be so strict to lose that last 2% body fat, or so grossly over on your calories to gain any more weight, because you're already so muscular and you're already kind of capped out there. So obviously for a person like that, that's the exception to a rule. But pretty much anyone who's not in extreme levels like that, not at extremely low body fat or extremely high body muscular weight, odds are you won't have any trouble gaining muscle and losing fat at the same time. It's called recomposition. It's very easy to do. It's really about adjusting, and that's why the diet advice I give you, it's not that necessarily that you need to do a one specific diet. There's a million out there that'll work. It's really more about adjusting it. So you pick a diet, you track it religiously, you write down everything you eat, and you see what happens. If you lost a pound of body weight and you lost nothing on, let's say for 3 weeks you lose a pound of body weight per week, and you look at your waist measurement, it's exactly the same as it was before. Alright, so that's something you can do easily. You just, take a tape measure, measure your waist. If your waist measurement isn't moving but your body weight is, odds are you're probably not losing a whole lot of body fat. You're probably losing more muscle. That's as easy as it could possibly get. You can do calipers, you can do more complicated stuff, but that's just like the easiest litmus test I have is I'll do my arm measurement, I'll do my waist measurement. So if I lose size on my arm, that's usually, there's not a lot of fat on my arm, it's kind of lean. So if it loses size, that means I'm probably losing muscle. This last time I went on, I lost about 30 pounds in about 3 months, and my arm stayed exactly the same size, and I started at a 41-inch waist and went down to a 33. So, what was that, wow, sorry, I'm horrible at math. That's about an 8-inch loss in my waist while keeping my arms the exact same size. So that pretty much tells me that, the vast majority of the weight I lost was fat versus, anything else. So, a couple other tips, and like I said, I know this is kind of broad stroke, but this is the best diet advice, because anything else, people try and give you specifics, like telling you need to do keto or vegetarian, whatever. If it doesn't work for you, if it's not something you're going to enjoy, you're not going to stick with it. So you don't want that specific advice. What you need is to know the critical thinking skills to know how to adjust whatever diet you pick for yourself. That being said, a couple of general rules I find are very, very helpful. One, calories are not calories. The whole idea that any calorie, it doesn't matter, it's all the same. Best example I could give this, or comparison if you will, is the comparison between a diesel engine truck and a gasoline engine truck. So a diesel engine truck, you could pour pretty much any oil in there. You could cooking oil, whatever it is, as long as the engine's at temperature, it'll burn pretty much any type of oil inside the engine because it doesn't matter. It's a very simple combustion system. Uh, Gasoline engines are much more complex. They require very specific levels of ethanol and everything. Example, if you go and you get a car, then it requires like the super premium unleaded, and you just get regular, it can actually damage your engine, and vice versa. You're not supposed to put like the premium high octane inside of a normal vehicle. So the difference between a diesel engine and a gas engine is that big. Uh, but the difference between those is infinitesimal compared to the difference between the human body and an engine. The human body is extremely complex in how it digests food. It's extremely complex. We don't know a third of how it happens. Like, we know very, very little. Almost everything that people tell you that they know is theory or logical fact. So we say things like, oh, well, we were hunter-gatherers in the past, that's why we eat this, or that's why our bodies store this, blah, blah, blah. Feast and famine theories, those are all theories. None of that's actually fact. We don't know the mechanisms. If we did know mechanisms, we'd have a pill that can make you lose body fat, and there isn't one out there yet. There's ones that assist with it, but there's no pill that literally makes body fat start to dissolve off the body. And the fact is, if we actually knew how body fat's lost, like literally knew how it was lost on the biological level, we would be able to create a pill like that, but we can't because at the end of the day, it's all theory. We're still trying to figure out how the body works as a scientific community. So calories aren't calories. You really do want to be smart with them. And once again, this changes for everyone. I know for me, for the longest time, I tried to go with the if it fits your macros kind of concept, and I'll tell you, I had a really hard time losing weight while still trying to eat foods that were processed, so on and so forth. Now, maybe for you, processed foods work fine, but it's something you should really start looking into is what foods work for you and what foods don't. I don't eat a whole lot of vegetables. I don't eat a lot of fruits. That's just me. For some people, those work great. They help them sustain. When I eat vegetables and stuff, I just kind of feel bloated. I don't feel like they digest well in my body. But that's just me. Do what works for you. But once again, the important thing is just it's about critical thinking. So you write down like, okay, I ate a bunch of beans for lunch and I felt bloated and this happened, that happened. Okay, so maybe beans aren't a very good food for you to use as fuel. Versus you might eat something else, you feel more energetic afterwards, you feel better. That's a good food choice. Another part is periodization, or basically changing things up. So the body just likes homeostasis. Everyone kind of understands that concept that once you start trying to lose weight, eventually your body's going to start to slow down the metabolism. It's going to try to adjust to the new calorie deficit. That's why it's important both to gradually go down in calories and to periodize just a little bit. The whole idea of like 6 meals a day and all that stuff isn't really that important, but what is important is that you give your body a chance to adjust. So the example I give people is, imagine you want to lose weight and you say, okay, I'm going to go on a 1,000 calorie day diet. It's an extremely low calorie diet. And you do it for about a month, your body finally adjusts to that. Where do you go from there? Do you eat 500 calories a day? I mean, what's your adjustment period from that, right? Take that versus if someone's a little bit smarter about it, says, okay, I'm going to start off with 500 calories below maintenance, so let's say it's 2,000 calories. And I'm going to do that for a couple weeks. I'm going to lose some weight. Then when that stops working, I'll cut it down by another 200 or 300 calories a week, or a day, whatever. So you slowly ramp things down, and so your body will continue to adjust because you're never going to have the same levels. And that's going to work a lot better. Plus, one thing I found has been extremely helpful for me was actually having cheat meals. I found those actually made my diet go better. I've definitely tried the thing where I've tried to be strict 7 days a week without exception, and just failed miserably. I didn't lose weight very well, and what I did lose was mostly muscle. This last diet I got down to about 6% body fat, and there were weekends I had basically a whole pack of Oreos over the course of the weekend. I usually Saturday and Sunday, I pretty much just completely took off within reason. I didn't go completely crazy. I know you see some of these crazy bodybuilder diets where it's like 10,000 calories on a Saturday or Sunday or something like that. But I didn't do anything quite that extreme, but I definitely let it go quite a bit. I had a couple drinks, did whatever I wanted to do basically. And so the same thing would happen. So every weekend I would gain maybe 2 or 3 pounds. Okay, so be it. So on Friday I might weigh in at, let's say, 215. By Monday I'd weigh 217. But then I go back on my diet. By Tuesday, I'd be back down to 215, and then by Friday, I'd be down to like 212. I was literally losing about 3 or 4 pounds a week doing this process, and that's including with the 2 cheat days make me go up, and then I lose like uh, basically 6 pounds from Monday till Friday, and then put on 2, lose 6 pounds, and so kind of a little bit of a fluctuation. I found that worked amazingly. My strength stayed about the same. If anything, by Friday I'd be kind of lethargic a little bit, just because I was on a very low calorie diet compared to my body size, because I was trying to lose weight fairly quickly, which I don't necessarily recommend, but it worked for me. It worked a lot better for me than this slow diet process. I basically was doing about 1,800 calories a day, which I weigh, like right now, I weigh 220 at about 7% body fat, so any calculator in the world will tell you that's probably lower than I should have gone, but it worked extremely well for me just because of those 2 or 3 recuperation days I had, and it was very, very effective. And that's very, very important that you get some sort of break in there, because your body will eventually try to stop you from losing weight, and the way to kind of trick it is to give yourself a break, give yourself an extra meal, give yourself a little extra food, and you're going to trick your body, and then it's going to start losing weight again, and you're going to notice a lot better results. For this weight loss I literally did no cardio. I walked a little bit, I guess if you want to call that cardio. I like to walk around every once in a while, so like I'd walk to the store, or walk here, walk there, and that was it for cardio, and I kept my weight training about the same. Once again, I do recommend weight training just because it'll help you, if nothing else, maintain muscle. Like, I was definitely not going heavy as I normally do. I wasn't trying to gain muscle. I was just trying to kind of maintain my size, because I was on a little more of a calorie restriction than what I would recommend for your average person. But once again, it worked very well for me. It's kind of like a sprint style dieting. And now I'm kind of getting ready to go back into a bulking phase and put some weight back on. But that's it, like I say. I know this is a lot of generalizations, but this is the best advice. This is hands down going to be better than anything anyone else can possibly tell you. After listening to this, all you basically need to do then is decide what food you like. You know, put a journal out, read what food you like. Let me give an example. Let's say I spend a week, I write down, I notice that my meats and high fat diet and low carb, I feel great. My high carbs, I feel like crap. All right, so I probably need to go a keto diet or a low carb diet, whichever I prefer. So I try that for a week or two. I lose 2 or 3 pounds a week. Like, just kind of, once again, just tracking my macros and try to hit like a ballpark number. There's a million calculators out there that can tell you like your basal metabolic rate and all that. And those are general guidelines. You pick one and just stick with it for a week or two and see what happens. If you don't lose any weight, cut the calories down. You can kind of pick and choose which ones to cut down. I recommend keeping the protein high, gram of protein per pound of body weight, and fluctuating. It's the carbs and the fats that you usually want to fluctuate. General rule: if you feel lightheaded or groggy, 9 times out of 10 it's actually fats that are too low, not carbs. A lot of people assume it's the carbohydrates that are low. A lot of times I find it's actually the fats that are too low. Usually, like for me, if I go below 40 grams of fat a day, I notice that I just feel like I'm swimming in here, like I'm not all there. Versus when I go low carb, if anything, I feel weirdly energetic, almost unnaturally. So, considering the fact that I'm eating so few carbs. But again, like I say, this is very generalized but very, very good advice. And really, the sooner you get into critical thinking, the sooner you start kind of thinking for yourself and picking for yourself a diet that you can sustain. Whether it be if you like to do vegan, do vegan. If you like to do all meats, do all meats. But just start writing stuff down, tracking it, and adjusting. Adjusting based off of feel, adjusting based off of results. Again, if you're not losing at least a pound of body fat a week, if you're not exercising, or 2 pounds a week, if you are exercising, you're not on an effective weight loss diet. You need to adjust something, or I would recommend you adjust something, let's say. If you're bulking and not gaining at least a pound a week, again, you're probably not optimizing your diet, and you could probably do better. At least a pound a week. Usually, my general rule, I can put on about 10 pounds of weight in a month pretty easily, and mostly muscle, a little bit of fat, obviously. But that shouldn't be a problem. If that's a problem for you, it's because you're probably not eating enough protein, or you're not getting enough of the nutrients that your body needs. So again, yeah, just real generalized, but this is the best advice anyone's ever going to give you. You can read all the books in the world; they're going to tell you a bunch of crap, but it's really just about finding what you enjoy, and then adjusting it to make it work for you. So it's kind of like if it fits your macros in a way, but kind of not, because I'm not telling you to eat just anything. I'm trying to find what foods your body responds to well, what foods you respond to well, and just kind of go from there. So Other than that, that's it. Easy enough, right?